Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nips every day in order to get some of that dirty YouTube money so I can afford to provide you folks hands-on in-person technology education in Durham, North Carolina. Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We do in-person classes. We're having a class on AI and web scraping next week. We have more classes coming down the pike. If you're interested, take a look at the schedule at silicondojo.com. Do remember, free to the end user is not free. That's why I shake the brain nips every day. If you would like to help support the project, there's a donor box link down below. And if you'd like to throw a couple of dollars in, recurring monthly, that would be ever so lovely. And so with that, let's just say, surprise. Is any of this horse crap a surprise? So one of the big things going on in the United States right now is we are in this AI boom. The problem is we do not have enough infrastructure for the AI boom. So a lot of things are getting built, a lot of things are getting bought. This is driving up valuations for all kinds of technology companies, but we're not actually getting the solutions we should be getting for all of the CapEx expenses, right? So I talked about this with Microsoft. Again, and I was surprised. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, literally came out and stated they have more GPUs than they can actually put in servers. They have purchased so many GPUs that they literally do not have enough servers to put them into. And I just want you to think about that for a second, right? The value of NVIDIA is $5 trillion because with AI, you need NVIDIA GPUs. And now Microsoft is coming out and literally saying they have NVIDIA GPUs collecting dust because they do not have enough facilities to actually put them into. And then you think if that's what Microsoft is doing and saying, well, what about Meta? What about Google? What about AWS? What about Apple, right? Basically, they are stockpiling GPUs. They're not actually using the GPUs. And that's kind of like the metaphor for what's going on right now. And one of the big problems we have in the United States is simply our electricity grid, right? We have been having problems with the electricity grid for 2.5 decades. One of the things I've talked about before, people forget with the George Bush, right, the younger George Bush back in 2000, before September 11th happened, the big controversy at the time was actually developing a national electricity grid. This is true. Nobody seems to remember this anymore. Anyways, Cheney was doing backroom deals with electricity providers, and the idea was to connect all the grids in the United States together so we have one national electricity grid, again, for being able to send energy from point A to point B, give resiliency, redundancy, the whole 9 yards. And that was the big deal at the time. So we've been having electricity problems in the United States for at least 25 years, before the data centers got huge, before AI, before electric cars, before a lot of the things that we have now. We've been having electricity problems in the United States for a long time. Now all of these technology companies want to deploy AI data centers, and each data center is going to be consuming as much electricity as a couple million houses, right? And the problem is we just don't have the electricity to support it. Like that's just fact, right? So this is interesting, coming from Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley data centers totaling nearly 100 megawatt could sit empty for years due to lack of power. Huge installations are idle because Santa Clara can't cope with surging electricity demands. Right, so they have 2 data centers. They're both somewhere around 50 megawatt data centers in Santa Clara. They are fully built out. They are finished. They will not be populated for years because there's not enough electricity for them. And this is reality, boys and girls. In the heart of Silicon Valley, 2 freshly built data centers designed for the world's most power-hungry computing workloads are standing empty. Digital Realty's 4-story SJC37 facility and Stack Infrastructure's SVY02A campus in Santa Clara, California, were both constructed to host tens of megawatts of high-density IT hardware. Instead, they're waiting for electricity. According to a Bloomberg report, both projects are complete but idle, so complete. The project is done. They just need electricity, with no firm timeline for full energization. Digital Realty's a 430,000 square foot site. So think about that, 430,000 square foot data center, completed, no power. Was built for 48 megawatts of critical load. Stacks nearby, SVY02A campus, also designed for 48 megawatts, includes its own substation and 8 data halls. Together, they represent nearly 100 megawatts of capacity, ready for servers, accelerators, and networking gear that cannot be switched on until the local grid catches up. According to the report, both may sit empty for years. 4 years. Santa Clara's publicly owned utility, Silicon Valley Power, is racing to expand supply to meet surging demand from data center operators. The city has 57 active or in-progress facilities and is investing $450 million in grid upgrades scheduled for completion by 2028. SVP told Bloomberg it is sequencing power delivery among customers as new substations and transmission lines come online. The city's challenges mirror those emerging across the country. Northern Virginia, the largest data center market in the U.S., has faced multi-year connection delays as utilities struggle to reinforce high voltage infrastructure. Regions in the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast are also reporting wait times of 2 to 5 years for new capacity. So, right, we're hearing about the United States, and the United States must win against China in the AI arms race. And we can't even plug in our data centers. We can't even plug in our data centers. Recently, Microsoft admitted it has GPUs sitting idle because it has no power for them. Digital Realty and Stack both told Bloomberg they are coordinating with SVP to phase in power delivery as upgrades progress, but with AI infrastructure expanding faster than transmission projects can be approved, the gap between completed buildings and available electricity is likely to widen. Although the servers are ready, the power isn't. And so this is what I keep hammering on about, with our society, with the American civilization, is there is so much focus on things like artificial intelligence and GPUs and fabs and all that kind of stuff. But the basic foundations of our society are fracturing, and it is very difficult to move a society forward as your foundations fracture. Right? Our electricity grids are not up to snuff, right? Before you get into healthcare, before you get into education, before you get in, it's just simple things like our electricity grids are not up to snuff. And again, and how many problems are there going to be when these AI data centers do get plugged in and then normal people's electricity rates go through the fucking roof? Right? How's that going to work for a society and the rest of it? And so this is just kind of the reality that's there. And this is the problem with this kind of gold rush mentality we have in the United States. The whole thing is, I will do my specific thing, right? I will build the data center and then I'll get paid for building the data center. You build the GPUs and you get paid for building the GPUs. You rack the servers and you get paid for racking the servers. But if all the links in the chain don't exist, we're not even talking about the weakest link in the chain. If you have links in the chain that don't fucking exist, it doesn't matter how big your data center is, doesn't matter how much cooling you have, doesn't matter how many racks you have, doesn't matter how many servers you have, doesn't matter how much you spend on GPUs. If you don't have electricity, it doesn't function. And this is my frustration, like with the valuation for so many of these AI companies, right? Is because the valuations are outstripping the ability to actually be able to deploy equipment, right? The idea being is if NVIDIA, you build this many GPUs, that's why it's worth $5 trillion. It's like, yeah, but even if they are building that many GPUs, then you have to have the companies that are purchasing the GPUs. And the companies that are purchasing the GPUs, right, they're purchasing GPUs and they don't have the ability to actually even deploy the GPUs. So NVIDIA is literally manufacturing billions of dollars of equipment that has no functional use. So think about it. The value of NVIDIA at $5 trillion is based off of the manufacturing that they're doing. But so much of the manufacturing is literally just sitting in fucking warehouses collecting dust. And it's not just that it's sitting in warehouses collecting dust for a little while. It may be sitting in warehouses collecting dust for literal years. So anyways, there you go. So what do you think about this? What do you think about 2 data centers in Santa Clara, 100 megawatts, fully built out, no access to power. What do you think about Northern Virginia data centers waiting 2 to 5 years for power in Northern Virginia? Does this start to take the sheen off of the AI idiocy just a little bit more? Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put your comment down below. As always, what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com, free to end user hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. If you want to take a look, we have a class coming up on AI and web scraping coming up next week. Take a look at our schedule on silicondojo.com to see the other classes coming up. As I say, free to end user is not free. That's why I shake my brain nips every day. If you'd like to throw some money into the project, there is a donor box link down below. And with that, see y'all later.